Hi and welcome to this series of videos that I'm recording to explain you how I built the cloud service that allows to track the user activities, that how the user interacts with your mobile application. And so specifically what I'm focusing on, I'm going to consider this scenario that imagine you are developer of the successful mobile application and you want to know how many unique users use that application for a given period. So for example, for the last month, you want to know day by day how many unique users just launched the application. You also want to know how many crashes were for that given period. So the same, similar to the unique users, we want to know the crash statistics. The crash comes from the exception. So for every crash, you want to know what was the message for that exception, and what was the call stack where that exception is coming from. It should be real time because we want to see that information as users use your application. You want to see that statistics as soon as possible. It has to be scalable because you can have many users of your mobile application, and you want them all to be able to log events to your service, and the service should be able to still be real time or nearly real time to give you statistics. And of course, because there are many users, and we should not depend on any failures in our components that are deployed in the cloud. So the system should be highly available, so that even though like part of the system is not working, the users should still be able to log in the metrics to our backend. It should have a minimal impact on the mobile user itself. So because we want to send the statistics from the mobile application, we're going to consume some network traffic that user is paying for. So we have to be really careful not to consume too much, because we actually using that traffic of the user to make the application hopefully better, and we should be really careful because that's what the users pay for. Also these are a couple of technologies that I used to build this service, I'm going to speak about. So you might be curious to hear about those, how I use them. So in brief, I used Vagrant to build my development environment, to run some components so that I can quickly get to the kind of close to production environment on my development machine, and not to need set up it every time. I use Docker for the services in the cloud, so that my solution is built out of 3 microservices we're going to speak about later, but these microservices are delivered as a Docker containers, and I'm running them in the cloud. So I was planning to use the Kubernetes for that. I used it on my developer machine to run it. In a production, it was a good choice initially, but because of the price because of the costs of the running Kubernetes cluster in the cloud, I switched to something else, but I'm going to speak about that. I use a Circle CI to build my projects, and Circle CI actually produces the Docker container on every check-in that I do to the master branch. I used Packer to prepare my AWS EC2 instances to run my application. I run it in AWS, so Amazon Web Services, and I use the CloudFormation to build a whole infrastructure that I need to run this service. I used Kafka for storing the incoming events from the mobile devices, and as a queue to distribute as an intermediate queue as well, to keep those events while the statistics is being calculated by the statistics service, and the statistics itself is stored in a MongoDB. And so those are aggregates that I use to show in my front-end application. So I built it for Android only because I only have an Android application. I don't use iOS just because it's the cost of development is much higher than on Android. I use Node.js to build the services that interact with the end user, that have a front end, and I'm using the Webpack and the React framework to build the website that shows the statistics of the mobile application. For that, I use JavaScript, and I use a Java and Spring Boot for the backend services that calculate the statistics. So stay tuned. I'm going to go through all these projects. All those projects are on GitHub, and I'm going to introduce them one by one and show you what I did. So just to make it more tangible, I'm going to show you how it looks. And so we are on a website called kaboom-report.com. So that's a website I registered to host this service. And we're going to sign in with Google. Once you sign in with Google, you can see, so this is the real-time statistics from my own mobile application that I developed. So this is, I have about 14,000 active installs on mobile devices, on Android devices for that application. And so we can see here that this is, for example, the number of unique users for the current month. So I only rolled up this service at the beginning of the February, and well, my users still had to upgrade the mobile application to start sending metrics. So you see that the actual the number of unique users grows. It's not only because, well, it might, I'm hoping it grows as well because just more users use my application, but it's probably mostly grows just because the users who upgrade to the next version that has these tracking capabilities, it's also growing. So I can switch to the daily view, and so this is for today. So I had this maximum 17 unique users. I think it was last hour, and the current hour is just 6 users. So I have an average slightly over 200 unique users per day. I have also certain amount of crashes that I can see. Well, actually, lots of crashes are just like my test crashes that I just generated to see that it's working. So this hello exception is actually test exception. So there are some real exceptions as well. So I'm coming, like for example, here we have we failed to allocate some memory in Android application, and if I clicked on show details, I see the stack trace. So this is kind of what we can get from my service. Here above you have application code that you have to use in your mobile application to basically distinguish your events from other applications. So I have to click here on this 3 dots to see the complete application code. For the security reasons, I'm just not going to show it. So that's mostly it. So stay tuned. In the next videos, I'm going to continue with the architecture of this solution, and I'm going to go through every component in details, how I build it. So thank you for watching this video, and hope you see you in the next one. Bye.